Troops Awakening, y'all will feel my ancient signals from within the universe and universes inside of me. Which character are you? There's the fictional character, the programming character, and certain characters with different entities, unknown characters that some of y'all take in. You know, when it comes to Kemet, Kemet, whatever y'all want to call it, to me, I feel like they are fictional characters. You know, some of y'all go and say, you know, that's my ancestor, and post it online, and you're just going by whatever these conscious Muppets, what they are telling y'all. You know, y'all going by whatever they put inside. You know, when it comes to these fictional characters, you know, that to me, they are recycled characters because the gangs, which I call religion, the religion system, they the characters are similar. You know, the Buddha, the Allah, Ra. Like for example, like I said, the Rothschild, the Rockefellers, and you know, even the female ISIS. You know, it's like they put it in your face. Like, you know, they even created a terrorist group called the ISIS and stuff like that. And, you know, when it comes to the characters, the Egyptian characters, I feel like, you know, yes, the stones, you know, got energy. And, you know, everything is within. But, you know, they had certain things carved in the stone and stuff like that. And I felt like they wasn't, like, we didn't share the same bloodline. I just felt like certain extraterrestrials, like, you know, they study our energy that's inside our physical body because we exist like in many other worlds, you know, and they was like, hey, we can use their energy against them and take their energy. And, you know, I feel like then, like when it comes to that, how they communicate like on a different level. You know, I felt like they didn't really speak language. They was like on a higher frequency, but they wasn't connected with us. And I felt like that was something totally different. You know, like way like totally different. Just like our bloodline, we got special powers. Like, you know, we all got different bloodlines. You know, it's all mixed up and confused in this illusion. You know, like certain groups, they use our DNA to create a lot of stuff. Use y'all's DNA, like and others out there. And when it comes to the the Egyptians, how do you actually really know that, you know, back then they really dressed like that? You know, just like you see Darth Vader and Superman and all of them in different costumes, like Darth Vader in the robot costumes and Superman, where, you know, the superheroes wearing tights and stuff like that. The Egyptians, you know, how do you know if they wasn't characters back in that era? You know, and they, you know, certain individuals, the generation before us, dressed totally different. You know, and they would wear that as a costume, just like, you know, they created, you know, these holiday, holiday, holiday. You know, they created, you know, which, you know, to me that's nothing but like, of course, rituals. But they created that, and like y'all still dress like Halloween every single day. Like, look around you. You know, when it comes to the Egyptians, you know, y'all just going by the stories. You know, how do you actually really know it's a flood? And then when they dig up the bodies and stuff, they could still a corpse. They could still like an old body and put it in a casket and say, "Hey, this is King Tut." you know. And how come, like I want to get on this while I'm thinking about it. Like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. How come they never say, "Hey, we're gonna dig their body up"? To me, I feel like they didn't even exist. Like when they saying that's the first president, I feel like they just didn't exist. That's just my opinion. I feel like that. Like and then like with the Jesus, like the bodies, whoever wrote the so-called books and all of that stuff. No one like say, hey, let's dig up Luke, Mark, and Moses and their graves and Noah and all of that stuff. They created these stories. They made up these stories. I felt like them stories was nothing but plays, and it carried on to other generations. The paradigm shift. Back in what the 50s, 60s, that's when they had like the Frankenstein, and the Mummy, and the werewolf, and the black lagoon. Correct me if I'm wrong. Then they come with the Michael Myers, the Freddy Kruegers, and Jason. Like it's all recycled if you really look at it. And I feel like there was nothing but characters, like in the Stones and stuff like that. I feel like the extraterrestrials copy certain stones, certain symbols and signs, and use y'all's power against you, and y'all put y'all's power into these certain signs and symbols. I feel like the pyramids and all of that stuff. Like I feel like certain stones and trees, and of course they got energy, and like a lot of stuff around us got energy. But I feel like this is illusion, and they copied a lot of stuff and got y'all thinking like, oh, this is the real deal. Like I feel like certain Masonic temples and buildings and stuff, they in certain areas for a reason, to draw power, to control certain things, because we have power inside of us. Okay, we can do whatever this so-called technology. We can communicate. Once you really get in tune and connect. On a higher frequency. Like, well, get on a higher frequency. When it comes to that, I just feel like that's a bunch of mess. Like these characters, and y'all out here, some of y'all out here dressing like these characters, wearing the unks, and I see people wearing copper, and like just going by what they see others do out there. And to me, it's comedy. To me, it's comedy when I see that. Like they wear the earrings and the red, black, and green, and all of these colors. Saying, "Oh, that's my ancestors. We came from." How do you actually really know? How do you actually, like I said, how you actually really know if it was really a flood? I'm sure certain groups knew how to control the weather then, but you don't actually really know if there was really a flood. I feel like certain statues got, destroyed for a reason. Just like, let's fast forward to right now. They taking down certain statues. Like, a lot of y'all was fighting over the Confederate flag and getting out of character, some of you earthlings. Y'all was going to war when it came to the flags. And I'm like, y'all look like clowns. Like, for real, like out there. With the red, black, and green, the red, white, and blue, and all of that going and arguing over, taking certain statues down, and you don't even know if that stuff is true. Like I said, don't get me wrong. There was wars, but there was basically they were sending out certain individuals, and I said this before, on a mission, like to basically take over certain like lands and resources, and taking energy and tapping into something on a higher level. So they was like, okay, we're gonna create this war stuff, say, and because all of them work together, all these countries, these planets, and this illusion, You know, they work together, and then you got certain individuals at war with each other. Certain society groups are at war with each other. But you know, they came up with the plan and said we're gonna say this and that individual, they're enemies. You know, and I'm not getting. I don't mean to get off topic. I just had to throw that in there. But you know, they took down a couple of statues and the Confederate flag and stuff, and I felt like that's what they did like decades ago, and I felt like decades ago they was telling the generation before us, you know, or you know, back in what the 1900s and all of that stuff, way before that, man, the 1600s, whatever these dates, because that's to me that's nothing but names and titles and dates and numbers and all that crap. But let's just say back in the past, and you know, back in the past, I felt like others were still on this religion system, and you know, and they used that to control certain individuals. The extraterrestrials, certain beings, they knew they could gain more energy, and they making deals with our energy to other planets. You know, to get some of them are doing that to get out of debt, and so they use y'all's energy in the physical body, and y'all destroying yourself. You're destroying yourself. You know, and like I said, let's get back to like you know the George Washington and what's the other one's name? George Washington and other beings that y'all think that exists. I can't think of that individual's name off top. Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, there we go. You just seen paintings, you know, or you seen them printed on this illusion money. How come nobody ain't ever go out and say, hey, well, let's see if they really exist? No, they want y'all to think that. You don't really see them talking too much about that. They're not gonna talk about that too much. You know, they was like, oh, well, he went through this war, this and that, you know, and gave you this mess, this history. They want to tear down certain history. That's the reason why you see certain schools going on strike. Just like I talked about how, you know, I talked about the school system, how they teach them how to cast spells and stuff, and I ain't going to get deep into that, but West Virginia, they went on strike. And in my state, they kind of strike, you know, and I think they're going to, it's like they trying to get rid of certain things in the school system, you know, because certain individuals, like I said, they are at war with each other, the insects versus the reptiles, you know, and we're basically in the middle. We're in the middle, and we have a lot of power in the insects and reptiles. They know this. They know we got a lot of power. So they use and created these different stories. This is recycled information and recycled energy. You know, and a lot of y'all out here like, oh, we was kings and queens, which that's nothing but names and titles. And they created the word ISIS and, you know, God and Jesus and all of that stuff. But y'all, you give your energy and power to that. And these stones and stuff, like I felt like, you know, they had their little get together in certain areas. You know, they have parties in certain like pyramids, you know, and of course, you know, certain individuals do their little sick rituals and stuff like that. And, you know, like they communicate different, you know, and you can't, you don't know how they communicate. Like back then, and it was like I said, I felt like it was totally different. You know, like I felt like they was communicating on a totally different level, and certain individuals copied some of their stuff and brought it into this illusion and say, hey y'all, this is how this happened. And it didn't happen that way. So, you know, they used the devices and stuff against y'all. Y'all talking about researching and all of this stuff. Like I said before, research yourself. Some of y'all was like, I'm looking for the truth. I'm trying to trace back, my apologies, trace back, you know, find my ancestors and all of that stuff, and everything is in you. You don't have to do that. You don't know what bloodline you actually really share, but you can find out, you know. And some of y'all asking me, like, how do I open up my third eye? Well, that's already open. You just got to activate it. You know, you got to get rid of certain things, you know, that's holding you down, that's negative. You know, you got to destroy, you know, the names and titles and the GMO images, the characters that you take in, that you see in a cube box. You know, you ask me to help you, you got to help yourself. You know, because I get a lot of comments, hey, help me open my third eye. You got to help yourself. You know, and things will fall in place. Some already had it in them when they came out that portal. And, and I can honestly say I'm one of them because I've seen a lot of stuff, like I said, that would blow y'all's mind. Like, I've seen a lot of things, been through a lot of stuff. You know, we all go through different things and different battles, but you got the power to balance it. But when it comes to all of the different stories, like I said, they can dig up some corpse and tell y'all that's King Tut or that's Mona Lisa. You know, like, who runs social media? The History Channel, of course, they're going to lie and make it sound good, and some of y'all roll with it. Like certain planets and stuff. They got y'all thinking certain things. It's basic, oh, you're going out of space. The astronauts, they're going out of space. They're not going out of space because we are here. We're like basically in the unknown world that they called space. And there's many other things besides the stuff that you was taught. That, even some of these society groups are still learning certain things. They don't have the answers, but they jack y'all's energy, and the certain groups, they stay ahead of y'all. So they create the distractions and stuff like that. And you actually really look like, some of y'all look like clowns when y'all dress up with all of this mess that you was programmed with. We're supposed to be naked. We came in this illusion world naked, right? So, like I said, we're wearing spirits and stuff. You just got to balance it. It's like we breathe in certain things and we take in a lot of stuff. But when it comes to the Kemet, and all of that, these stories and stuff, that's nothing but illusions. I see some of y'all, some of y'all look like some clowns. You wear dashikis and, using recycled information. You growing your beard out and, and they created the characters. They had them characters like back in the so-called biblical time when they was wearing beards and the bell and different types of stuff, Some of y'all looking like I Dream of Jenny and stuff like that. And, saying these are my ancestors. And some of y'all just stuck in different dimensions. Not dimensions, my apologies, in lower realms. Some of y'all stuck on that. And it's like I said before, some of y'all still connected with these beings, but you can't see them because you take on that image and you connected with them. So some of y'all going to be on that KKK mess because you going back in lower realms, or the Black Power mess, or the Egyptian mess. Some of y'all going to be stuck on that. And, like the Egyptian characters, they look, to me, they look fake. They don't look real. They look weird to me. And y'all think they actually really look like? Y'all don't know how they look like. Y'all don't know what they look like. Y'all just going by images that you see. So you can't sit here and argue and tell certain individuals, but the program individuals will do that to you. They'll argue up and down, argue with you. They'll argue with you. My apologies. They'll argue with you. They'll tell you, oh, we came from this, we came from that. You don't actually really know where you come from because we're energy. You can put it together and create your own. But they use your DNA and they mess with your DNA, tap with your DNA, cast certain spells, and then y'all use the recycle information and you cast spells on others. That's the reason why I stay away from certain things. When you're on a high frequency, it's like nothing can stand in your way. Like when you're on a high frequency. But, to me, I felt like Kemet and all of these stories, they're nothing but fictional stories. But, there's such thing as energy, just like the Hitler stories and all of these stories and stuff. Like I said, yes, the physical bodies went to war, but they sent them off on a mission to peep in on something. And they act like they was, looking out for y'all. They really wasn't looking out for y'all. They was protecting certain individuals. Just like you see celebrities, you see like 50 or 40, security team around them, so-called bodyguards, or these 501c3 corporation preachers, these mega preachers or corporation preachers. You see bodyguards and stuff around them and stuff because they all connected like in a society group. You get what I'm saying? So they use the military and certain beings, they're not even earthlings, they connected with the military. Certain extraterrestrials that's not on the same side works with the military, and they all connected together because they're not really at war, but they send certain individuals out there to go against each other. But they send certain ones, they pick certain ones to go on a mission. And they got, they sign oaths and pledge where they can't come out, to the public and say anything, because before they say anything, or if they know if they're going to say something or if they're going to be on something, and they get erased. Certain individuals, just to put that out there. But the stories and stuff, y'all can't go for it. And then, like I said, these conscious Muppets, it's like they, forcing y'all, drowning this stuff in your head, just like the school system with the lies, like with the Christopher Columbus and all of that extra stuff. That's nothing but that's like some false mess. Study yourself. Really study yourself, because you're basically the walking truth. Everything is within. Like I said, you could travel through other worlds, go through different dimensions, and see certain things, experience certain things. You can even share with certain individuals on a spiritual level, share with them without using this device. You can actually meet up in the same world, like on a spiritual level without the device. And see, some don't want y'all to do that, but you can do that. You're more than this device, and like I said, I'm more than this device. But the stories that y'all going to war and debating and over, certain religious groups and all of these stories, that's some stuff that they made up. The society groups. And whoever is mixed up with that, y'all don't need to get mixed up with that, because they don't know what they're talking about. And like I said, some of them are pledged into these groups to confuse y'all. The ones y'all see with all of these big followers and all of that stuff, you have to watch out for them. And I can see and tell by the way they use their hands and how they stick their leg out, like when they take certain poses and stuff like that. That I know I see what's going on, especially with the left leg and certain things that y'all can't see that I can see. I can see certain things. I'll be like, oh, okay, I see what they on, but they don't see what I see. Some of y'all see what's going on, but I see what's going on with them and stuff like that. And they all use the same stuff, if you really, but it's like a little twist to it, but it's the same thing. You get your Ra, you get your Jesus, you get your Allah, you get your, you know, all of these false entities. So, y'all take on these multiple characters. You take on them, and they take over you. You don't. Some of y'all don't even know who you are. What? Did somebody say something?